Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 21st meeting of the Hyde Park Town Board. It's a workshop and a regular meeting. Please join me while we pledge allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Hi. Big crowd again tonight. Okay, so may I have a motion to accept the minutes from December 7th?
So moved.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have a public hearing tonight, and that's on the proposed amendment to the cable franchise renewal agreement. And I would like, are we at 7:10 yet? We're close enough, I think, right? Yeah, I think so. So, Madam Clerk, could you please read the public hearing notice?
Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park shall conduct a public hearing on December 21st, 2015, at 7:10 p.m. at the Town of Hyde Park Town Hall, located at 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, to afford citizens of the Town of Hyde Park and all interested parties an opportunity to be heard concerning the proposed amendment to the franchise renewal agreement between the Town of Hyde Park and Cablevision of Wappingers Falls, Incorporated.
And, sorry.
The proposed amendment to the franchise renewal agreement provides for an expanded definition of the term gross receipts to the maximum allowable by law and extends the period of time for retention of franchise fee and other records of Cablevision, and expands the statute of limitations to 6 years for the bringing of any lawsuit by the town against Cablevision. A copy of said proposed amendment is on file at the town clerk's office and may be examined during normal business hours. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated December 8th, 2015, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Thank you very much. And may I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion?
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And Warren, did you want to just give a brief update on that?
The town entered into a franchise renewal agreement with Cablevision in 2010, and it came to the town board's attention a little while back that the agreement may have not had the definition of gross receipts, which would enable the town to receive the maximum franchise fees that the laws permit. We also noticed some provisions in the contract regarding the statute of limitations, where it had a very restrictive time period for bringing a lawsuit against Cablevision in the event of a violation of the agreement. And as a result, we had difficulty in obtaining records past that time period from Cablevision. So we entered into negotiations with Cablevision to see what we could do about this, and as a result of our negotiations, they have agreed to amend the franchise agreement to provide an expanded definition of gross receipts, which is consistent with other Cablevision contracts that have a definition that allows the most expansive gross receipts as allowable by law for purposes of computing the franchise fees. And we've also extended the statute of limitations by agreement to 6 years with a 3-year retention of records. In order to do this, we need to have the public hearing, and if the board votes to allow the supervisor to sign that agreement, I then send that back to Cablevision, and there's a process whereby Cablevision has to sign it and has to be approved by the Public Service Commission.
Okay.
Could I just mention, because I think it bears repeating, it just came up again in a recent conversation, that, the town has to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, the town has to have an agreement with Cablevision for them to be able to provide service within our town, but that agreement is not exclusive. So if other companies wanted to provide internet or television service within the town, we would certainly be open to that and have reached out to them, in fact. And Verizon Fios often comes up, and people sometimes are confused and think that the town is only allowing Cablevision in Hyde Park, and that's just not the case at all. So I just wanted to clarify that.
That's correct.
That's a good point, Emily. And when we have had conversations with FiOS, it's basically they would have to lay additional infrastructure, and that's something that they're not investing in right now, so that's the limitation. So, I mean, clearly, like you say, we'd welcome the competition, and I know it's something that means a lot to people, but it's not within our control to require them to do that, so. Okay, would anyone like to speak to this issue in the public hearing? Oh, sure, come on.
The only question I have is what about Time Warner?
Same situation. They are more than welcome to come. It's, again, I think it's an infrastructure issue. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Would they like to speak to this? Okay, then might I have a motion to close the public hearing on the amending the Cablevision franchise?
Motion?
And a second?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now I'd like to ask for a motion to enter executive session to discuss litigation.
Make motion?
Let's do that now, because, and do we have a second?
Second.
And
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And it's quite possible that a decision will be made in executive session, so we're going to ask town clerk to join us in executive session.
What does? I would say that we should be back in 10, 15 minutes at the most. Okay? Okay, thanks.
Hold on a second. You know what, I leave them there because I can't. Well, I don't know that we worked on it quite yet.
Okay.
I think
Just the light up, just the stars on.
Okay, so may I have a motion to return from executive session?
So moved?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And a decision was made and an action taken. Okay. So moving on, the first item on our workshop is the proposed local law to amend Chapter 93 Stormwater Management. And we have both Tad and Pete here, and they have revamped the local law in conjunction with Warren and adopted and included the comments from the planning board and a few other ones. And I do believe we have that. Do we have that?
Do we have that for?
Provided to the town board for our review?
Sent it around earlier this week.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want to update us on those changes quickly, Pete or Tad?
Sure.
Most of the changes had to do with making some updates in accordance with some new regs that came out, I believe it was January of 2015 or 14? 14. And also we added some other items in there regards to green infrastructure. We also had found out that we could use a little more language as far as the town issuing their own stormwater management permits and erosion and sediment control permits, things that we found since the law was first passed that we thought could make things a little better, a little bit easier as far as record keeping. And we also put in a couple of provisions for renewals of both of those permits, and also we didn't have a procedure in there for closing out these types of permits, so we added those types of things. Other than that, there haven't been any substantial changes from the first law. It was just basically tweaking things to keep up with the 2014 requirements, and then adding some things that we found that would make for a little better housekeeping.
Okay.
Is that quick enough?
Yep.
That's great,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, So does anyone have any questions or?
So let me just amplify on that. So basically, what you have and what has been provided to each board member, so the record should show that it's been on your desks now, as of tonight, is the amended law that had some tweaks made to it since we closed the public hearing. So you have to have the local law in final form on your desk for 7 days prior to voting on it. So we will vote on it at the next town board meeting. The amendments from the from the public hearing were so minor that we felt that there was no need to even reopen the public hearing or to send another referral out to the planning board or the county. So at the next town board meeting, we anticipate you'll be adopting a resolution adopting this local law.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Thank you. Okay. So then the second workshop agenda item is the steps and transfer of Greenfields Water District to the Water Authority. And we have Jonathan Churns here from the Water Authority to review this process for the town board.
Good evening, Jonathan Churns, Water Authority. I'd just like to thank the board and the town attorney for working with us to find the transfer of the system through to the most likely next January. We are looking to do a slightly different transfer process with Greenfields Water. With all the other systems at this point, we've been able to transfer the assets, the management, and the operations in one shot. But in this particular case, there are issues with properties. The wellheads do not have easements, and so we're looking to address that. There are certain items on the resolutions list tonight that will be pulled and then addressed at the January 4th meeting. We will be continuing to work on those items, and they will later be able to be addressed, and we'll have the assets transferred later in the year. But in January, we're looking to transfer the management and operation of the Greenfields water system with the sewer system, and this will allow the town to discontinue operation of those two systems, as well as Greenbush and Violet Ave, which will also be transferred in the early part of January. Do you have any questions as to the process that we're looking to
Let me
do?
just elaborate while you're up here, so if anybody has any questions. What we're going to do tonight is the understanding that we've reached with DCWWA is that we'd like to have the management of the water system take effect, the transfer of the management and operation of the water system take effect at the same time that we transfer the sewer system, which will happen in January. In order to do that, since we don't anticipate we'll be ready to actually close on the water system until mid-2016, you have on the agenda tonight an intermunicipal agreement, which I have worked out with DCWWA, basically allowing them, through that agreement, to operate and maintain the system, do the billing at the same time that we transfer the sewer system. So you'll be voting on that tonight. And then there are two other issues that need to be resolved with regard to the transfer of the system. Because we are granting, as part of that agreement, easements over what's actually the Greenfields Park for DCWWA to access and maintain the wellheads, or certain of the wellheads. That's considered by law to be what we call an alienation of parkland. Even though it doesn't seem terribly logical to us, technically it is. And that means that in order to effectuate that, we have to have special legislation from the state to permit us to do that. So the process has gotten a little bit more complicated. We need to have a resolution requesting the state legislature through our representatives to enact this legislation. We did have something, a request in draft form for tonight to pass, but we have some issues which I have to resolve with DCWWA about the easement language and a couple of things that we need to do. So we decided that we would have everything ready for the next meeting instead of trying to pass that tonight when there were still some missing items. And there is also another intermunicipal agreement which will allow DCWWA basically a wellhead protection agreement between the town and DCWWA pursuant to 5C of the General Municipal Law, 5G of the General Municipal Law, which will provide an agreement for both sides to take certain steps to honor and protect the wellheads. And we feel that by doing that, it will decrease the amount of consideration that has to be paid for the alienation of the parklands, which does have to be paid. And we haven't determined what that amount is, but we think that by entering into that agreement, it will lower the amount to reduce the impact on the district. And there is the possibility that DCWWA is going to be looking into a grant that it received so that certain funds which they have to pay as consideration to the town for the alienation of the parkland, which has to be reinvested in parkland, will possibly come out of that grant. That's not a certainty, but we put something in the draft agreement so that if they can do that, they have agreed to do that. And we thank you for that. That would be helpful. So we should have those two resolutions. They were on the agenda. We did agree to pull them tonight, so there was no confusion, and we should have them on for the January next board meeting.
Great.
Does that
Great.
sound right?
Yeah, just to clarify, I'm not sure if people can really envision this, because we've talked about it a lot, but basically the wells that service the Greenfields water are in the Greenfields Park, and so that is what posed the whole issue, because it wasn't an issue when the town owned both, but now with the water being transferred to the Water Authority, it does pose a little bit of a difficulty, but I think it's great, and we're definitely working through it, and there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
That's
just a
good.
matter
Yep.
of
Yep.
getting some issues resolved, and
Well-
it's not a problem at all.
Yeah, at this point, we've completed the survey work, field work has been completed, documents have been created, and I believe we're nearly ready to go. We just need to have alignment on certain language, as we've discussed.
Great.
Well, and something that Warren alluded to, I'd like to congratulate you and us that we were the recipients of a local government efficiency program grant award in the amount of $404,000, which is pretty exciting, and it was to compensate the districts for the cost of transfer, partially, some equipment upgrades. Right?
Yes, there's several equipment upgrades, including new customer meters throughout all of the systems, excluding Quaker Hills.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that exciting?
When did
It
this come
is.
through? Congratulations.
It came through the Regional
Wow.
Economic
Yeah,
Development
that's
Awards.
fantastic.
Yep.
Nice job.
Terrific.
And as Jonathan just mentioned, the costs of the survey work and these other items related to the Greenfields transfer, which was more complicated. So,
As well as the disillusionment of the districts when
Of the
that
dis-
is
right.
possible.
and, just to make it crystal clear, all those costs are borne by the individual districts, and so these monies will go back into those districts. So we're very excited about that, and thank you for writing that grant and for getting it. So, and then as long as we're on the topic of water, I have another really wonderful announcement, something that makes me very happy, that the Greenbush Water District, the disinfection byproduct level is under the maximum contaminant level.
Under
So,
80?
yay, under 80, we're at 79.5, and that's, super exciting. So happy for the Greenbush residents that they will not receive a notice this time. They're going to get a letter from me, just so that everybody knows that
It was
we...
actually dramatically lower. It was, it was just that once you average that into the past three quarters, it comes out just under the limit, but the current level was quite low.
It
right?
was
50-something, yeah.
54, and I think last year at this time, it was 170 or so 150.
34 or something.
Yeah.
134, so,
Or that level.
and Pete has done a lot of really good work on that, and I think we can rightfully attribute it to the bringing on of these carbon filters, and that was done at the water board plant this past quarter, so I'm just really thrilled that that is finally Well, we don't, we're hoping it's starting a trend. But I think what it really demonstrates is that the changes needed to happen at the water board, at the joint water board plant, that we could flush till the cows came home, and if the water coming in was at the MCL or higher, it wasn't really going to help. So it really, those changes had to happen at the water board plant, and they did, and let's just hope that it's the beginning of a new trend. So that's the exciting news for water.
Jonathan, I have, while you're standing there, a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
And I think we spoke briefly about it the last time I met with you. Now that these transfers are happening, what is going to happen with the committees for each one of these? You know, for Greenfields, Quaker, you know, because we had an active committee, so
Sure.
now what happens moving forward with those
Sure.
committees?
Well, as the systems are transferred, they'll obviously be under the ownership and operation of the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority, and we'll follow our normal protocol. When it comes to committees that pre-existed the transfer, we tend to keep them on as long as they continue to meet. So as the members would like to discuss the systems, we're happy to go and meet with them. I would be the representative from the Water Authority that would you know, bring information to them and bring any concerns that they have back to our board. They're also welcome to come and go to the Water Authority board meetings. They meet monthly, the third Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
So I should send you the email list of the current people?
I have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
good.
sure you
Yeah.
probably
Okay,
do.
good.
So will you reach out to them and let them know, or should we reach out to them to let them know that the transfer has happened and the contact should be now you, or I mean, how do you want that to work?
Yes, well, first off, at each transfer, we send a letter to each customer of the system.
Okay.
So that they're aware of the emergency contact numbers and how they will be billed, who they should call for the various issues that they might have with any water system. So we do direct mail from that perspective. When it comes to the committee members, typically I'm in pretty direct communication with most of them, meet them in the field. I think at this point, for all the systems that have transferred, I've met with the representatives
Gotcha.
since they've transferred. So I'll continue to do that with the systems that are about to come over.
Okay, great. And the only other question I have, I know it's a private system. I've had several residents over the past month actually give me a call off of like Morris Drive there. They're having quite a few water issues and
Is that Dutchess Estates?
Dutchess Estates
yeah.
there, yeah. And I guess being a private water source, you know, ownership there, there's not much we can do as a town or the county. Do you have any suggestions on what the owners, the homeowners in there can do to maybe have that transferred over to the county, or be, I'm not sure what needs to happen there since it's privately owned. I'm not sure what the answers are for those residents.
We'd be happy to talk with you more about that and come up with a game plan.
Okay.
We have had conversations with the property owner, the water system owner in the past. Been contacted by different entities that have been interested in the same conversation. They've typically not led anywhere. We do have an understanding of how we could interconnect that system with our Hyde Park regional water system, or potentially run it as is. It is a system with many needs.
It really is.
There's a
yeah.
lot of capital issues in the distribution system as well as in the treatment plant. We do not own it, so I'm not necessarily.
No, I agree, and that's why I said, you know, to these residents as well, is that, you know, unfortunately, it's not a town.
Correct.
And it's hard just saying, hey, I'm sorry, there's not much we can do, it's privately owned, and I didn't know what their steps should be. I just told them they should, you know, form a committee and figure out, I didn't have a good answer for them, so I thought while you were standing here, maybe you had.
The PSC would be one of their stops to communicate their needs there. The PSC has reached out to our organization in the past.
Okay.
They should also contact the health department to speak on issues of water quality, availability, drinkability, things of that nature.
Okay.
And the health department can also help push in some directions.
I got you. Great.
You know, but I'm not familiar with how the system is operating today. I know they had a water outage recently.
Yeah, so
That may have triggered some of your phone calls.
yeah, it did.
Yeah. Understood.
Great. Thank you for all your hard work, I really appreciate it.
Great. Well, happy to help.
I just wanted to mention, because I don't know if we've talked about this in a public meeting, but the Vanderburg Cove water and wastewater system, which is overlaps Rhinebeck and Hyde Park. There's a part of it that's in the town of Hyde Park, but the treatment all occurs in Rhinebeck, right? So they're really the managers of the system. And I just want to, put it out there that Rhinebeck is following our lead and going through the process of transferring that system to the Water Authority, which is great. And, the residents that are, the Hyde Park residents that are part of that system are being included in the outreach through Rhinebeck. And so I hope that they will take advantage of that. And if anyone happens to be watching and has any questions, they're welcome to reach out to me about that also.
And thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, we actually have a proposed agreement that I reviewed, and I do have some comments on that, but I sent it out to both boards to see if any of the town board members had any comments. So if you have nothing to do over the holiday and you want to read that, I'm sure it's fascinating reading. But I think that we need a few questions answered by Rhinebeck, which I will do, and then probably when I get back after the holidays, we'll be able to put that together, and that'll move it along. And there'll still be other public sessions.
Right, there will, I'm
Public.
sure, be a public
filled in,
meeting that
absolutely.
all the residents of the district will be invited to.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Both towns.
Good.
Great.
All right, well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful holiday.
Merry Christmas
and
to you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, great. All righty. So I don't think we have anyone who wants to make any public comment.
Before we get into that, could I just give a little update on the TAP project?
You
since we're
could, and
gonna
we
be-
have Pete here too, so
Yeah,
that
Pete's
would be
here.
great, yeah?
Or if you want to.
No, go right ahead.
I just wanted to, let folks know that we've been moving forward with hiring a consultant to do the design for the TAP project. So we basically, well, Pete's worked hard on this,
Yeah, he
and
has.
Warren and Aileen. And so basically, we sent out a request for proposals to the approved contractors. We got in about 8 proposals, reviewed them all, ranked them, chose the top 3, called them all in, had interviews, great presentations from 3 really wonderful firms. And we're recommending Greenman Peterson out of Albany to do that design work. I think that Aileen and Pete and I all agreed that they were a really top choice. And they've
Emily,
been
can you just tell the
fantastic.
people what the TAP is?
Oh, of course, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. This is the big sidewalk project that's going to be going from the Quality Inn up to the Park Plaza on the east side of Route 9. And it's going to be sidewalks, bike lane, street trees, the whole thing. And so it's a big undertaking, and the grant will pay for us to hire an engineering firm to actually design it. And so that's the phase that we're in right now, and trying to keep this moving because we need to have it designed and put out to bid by next September, which sounds like a long time away, but with all the steps that need to happen, it's really not. So I appreciate Pete and Warren, I know, working diligently to get this on tonight's agenda so that we can get started with Greenman Peterson.
Great, thanks. Yeah,
Thanks.
and thank you, Pete, for working Sunday
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
and getting that done, thanks. Okay, so shall we move on then to the resolutions?
Yes.
Resolution 1221-1 of 2015, resolution authorizing return of the balance of escrow for erosion sediment control projects.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
We're going to just have to back up a little bit. We have the
Secret.
seeker document for,
Yeah, I've got that. We have to do that at the workshop. So if I could just backtrack for one moment.
yes, please.
The intermunicipal agreement with DCWWA, we consider to be what we call an action under SEQR, the State Environmental Quality Review Act. We think it's an unlisted action. It's not a type 1 action. So I did prepare a part 1 of a short form EAF, which I sent out to everybody, and I basically answered all of the information that we needed about the project in part 1, and I took the liberty of answering the questions subject to your approval in part 2 of the impact assessment, that basically that there will be no potential significant environmental impact from entering into this agreement with DCWWA. So all of the questions in Part 2 were answered no in terms of impacts. We did not have to fill out Part 3, and so I would just ask when you pass the resolution approving the IMA, that would also be deemed to be what we call a negative declaration under seeker. I'm going to have the town superintendent sign this negative declaration, but we've referenced the negative declaration in the resolution to approve the IMA. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Yes,
That's fine.
Supervisor, right?
Okay.
supervisor.
What did I say? Superintendent?
I didn't do the.
We don't have a town superintendent.
No.
Didn't think so.
You could use one, though.
General.
Okay.
Do we also need to pull any resolutions before we continue down the line?
DC?
Yeah, we're going to pull the wellhead protection, which is number 14.
Right, yeah.
And the,
12,
the one?
the convey easements to DCWWA, Greenfields Water. So
Well, is that the request?
No, that's
Oh, all right.
separate.
No, which is the one for the home rule request? Is that number 12?
Yes,
Okay.
I
It's
think
not
as we,
titled correctly, but let me just
No.
make sure I have the right one.
12 and 14?
Yeah, hold on.
12 is requesting the legislature to grant authority to the town.
Yeah, we're pulling that,
Okay.
and we're pulling 14.
12 and 14.
Yeah, and those-
And they'll be on in January.
Yeah, no problem. Just a matter
just-
of tweaking the
It's
document.
better to be more organized, yeah, so.
I make a motion to remove those two.
And do we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I just noticed that the resolution number 13 has an error in it too, just not in the resolution, just the agenda. Agreement, Greenman-Peterson, and then it says Farm Lane, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's Route 9 pedestrian improvements. No matter how many times you look at these.
Yeah, really, there's always something.
You see what you want, you
Yeah.
don't see what it
No.
says sometimes.
Okay. So where are we now?
Number
We're
two?
Number two.
Yeah. Resolution 1221-2, 2015, resolution authorizing agreement for the expenditure of highway monies.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1221-3 of 2015, resolution authorizing the town clerk to solicit requests for proposals from vendors for the Town of Hyde Park real property reassessment project.
And I think we need to revise this also, don't we? Oh, no, it's already been revised.
I think they did. I think it's just supposed to say assessor.
Okay, yeah,
It's the other one if you like.
okay. Well, yeah, it's fine for it to say the, if you look at Resolution 1221-3, it says authorizing the town clerk to solicit requests for proposals, but it will actually be the assessor, because we've gone through a process to determine that the town clerk only lists official bids, and this is not. So, okay, so do we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 1221-4, 2015, resolution authorizing year-end interfund advances.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1221-5 of 2015, resolution approving change order for contract between Town of Hyde Park and Morris Associates Engineering and Surveying Consultants.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for all your additional work on Farm Lane, Pete. It was a lot.
Yeah, great.
Project.
It is, and
Yeah,
it looks
wonderful.
beautiful.
Resolution 1221-6 of 2015, resolution authorizing return of the balance of escrows for planning board projects.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 1221-7 of 2015, resolution authorizing the repair of a highway truck as an emergency repair under the town's procurement policy.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
I have a question on that.
Okay.
The Doxies, I guess, is going to repair it.
Yes.
Well,
The transmission is apart now, so
Yeah,
that
that's
that
right.
includes putting it back together, I think. Okay.
And it's already apart, that's why
You can't go out to bid.
normally you would, ask for proposals, but being as it's already apart, there was no other option. Okay, so, do we vote? Yes,
We did.
okay.
Resolution 1221-8 of 2015, resolution approving the maintenance bond for the work performed by Hudson Hills Contracting LLC in conjunction with the Farm Lane Pedestrian Path Project.
And-
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And they have put up a maintenance bond to assure that the quality of the project is intact through the next year. Does that include the survival of all the trees that were planted?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. And, you know, they still have equipment there?
You know, I checked into that, and I don't know if Andy ever contacted.
Oh, okay, because I just noticed that.
Still there?
It's still there, yeah. So, I don't know if it doesn't.
Somebody hasn't come.
I know. See what kind of safe town we are?
No. Resolution 1221-9 of 2015. Resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a franchise renewal agreement between the town of Hyde Park and Cablevision of Wappingers Falls.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And Donna, I'm just going to ask if you could email me the full resolution with the vote tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Resolution 1221-10, 2015. Resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement between the town of Hyde Park and Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority, DCWWA, for the operation and maintenance of the Greenfield Water District System.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
This is one that we're not pulling, right?
Number 11?
We meant to do number 10, right? That was okay?
Yeah, no, 10 we wanted to.
Okay,
Yep,
fair enough, thank you.
yep.
Resolution 1221-11 of 2015, resolution authorizing the deputy town clerk, Patricia Cody Cullen, to carry over accrued vacation time.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And the final one, Resolution 1221-13 of 2015, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute an architectural engineering consulting agreement with Greenman Pearson Incorporated for New York State Department of Transportation funded pedestrian improvement project.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And they'll be starting the survey work in January, so people will be seeing them out there. So that's very exciting.
Terrific.
So I don't know if anyone has any other topics that they'd like to discuss or bring up?
I do.
Go ahead.
I would say I'd like to, it's been a pleasure sitting next to Hannah for
That's what I was going to
2 years.
say.
Well, then you can go first.
No, go ahead. You got it.
Absolutely. So, you know, Hannah's been a good partner in crime on this end, and it's been a great pleasure serving with you and working with you, and you're really going to be missed. So thank you for all you did for the town of Hyde Park.
Absolutely.
I know I appreciate it, and I know your constituents have appreciated it as well. So good luck on your next endeavor. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, we're going to miss you.
I second that.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I can't top that. I agree with everything Mr. Schneider just said. We'll miss you, Hannah.
Oh, thank you. You guys are going to make me blush now.
Come back and sit on that side again.
Of course,
Right.
yeah. It'll
Yeah.
be nice to be back on the other side. Thank you all very much. You guys do a wonderful job. And you guys will do a wonderful job with Joe, too. I know that.
We're looking forward to working with him as well.
Yeah, I want to just wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and
Yes.
Happy New Year, and see everyone in 2016. And thank you, Tad, for these lovely
Thank you.
arrangements.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Thank
so January 1st, right, it's the
Yep, 2 p.m.
swearing in here at 2 o'clock. Everyone's welcome, right? And then the reorganizational meeting will be January 4th, regular time.
So January 1st, we are meeting here.
Yes, we are.
Swearing in, yeah.
All right. All right.
2 o'clock, I'd see you up by
You can
then.
do that. Okay, so may I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion?
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
Thanks, Ted, for the
Sorry to ruin your New Year's, Ken.
fake flowers. No, the holly bough.